Hey everybody, happy Friday. I'm very excited for today's video because we have something a little bit different. We have a special guest, which is Cari from Easy German and Easy Languages.
Hello!
Hey Cari.
So nice to see you. Again.
Yeah, and by the way, I know. Yeah, actually, so for those of you who don't know, Cari just hosted me on their Easy German channel just the other week, and we had a conversation in German. So if any of you want to check that out, I'll definitely have that linked in the description. And if you haven't heard of Easy German and you're learning German, then where have you been? But it's never too late. So definitely go check out their channel. I also want to say, so my viewers will not be surprised that I have a coffee. It's kind of mandatory.
But I have a coffee too.
Exactly. And I want to call out, I did not make Cari do this. She did it of her own accord. So, very observant.
I thought like, hey, if I'll be on Robin's channel, I need to drink coffee. And I just started drinking coffee like 5 days ago.
Oh, wow. Well, welcome to the club.
No, actually, I do sometimes. Thank you. I do sometimes drink coffee, but rarely, you know. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a decaf. How do you say that in English? A decaf coffee?
Yep, decaf coffee.
Decaffeinated coffee?
Yeah.
Because over here it's like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And last time I drank an unexpected coffee, I stayed awake till 5 in the morning.
Yeah, you see, I actually thought this morning maybe I should ask Cari, but then I was like, no, it's way too late in Berlin at this time. But so it all worked out. I'm really happy because my viewers, I think that there's probably a time when my video comes out and all over the world there are at least 1,000 people all making coffee at that exact time, because I have a lot of lovely viewers who like to join me and make their own coffees. So let's jump in. So today we have a few really nice questions. We're going to be talking about like 4 different things. There's something for everybody. Those of you who are interested in language learning tips, those of you who are just interested in getting to know Cari and what they do over at her organization. So without further ado, let's jump into the first question, which is that, so Easy Languages, I think, has become incredibly popular all over the world. It's quite amazing. You guys have the Easy Languages channel, right? And then you have now these like dedicated channels like Easy German, Easy Spanish, Easy French. And so there's obviously something that really resonates with people about the way that you guys, make content. So I'm curious to know why you think this is. What is it about the Easy Languages methodology that seems to work so well with so many people all over the world?
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, over the time we developed more and more formats. I wouldn't call it like we don't have a certain methodology maybe, but we do have certain types of content that really work well, and I think that maybe we focus on and that people don't find anywhere else. And I mean, the most popular content type that we started with are street interviews, and this is just something, I thought about that for a long time, why that is so popular and why there aren't so many other people doing it. I think one thing that these street interviews have is like real authenticity. So it's nothing that is made up. And usually when you learn from a book, when you are in classes, or even when you learn from an app, it's always like this kind of artificial content that is made up, like dialogues that are made up. And then sometimes you can't really see how big is the gap between this and real life. And I think, so this authenticity is nice, but then the other thing is the accessibility of this real world, real life material, because I think I see this, or I hear this from a lot of people, that even beginners start watching these street interviews very early on, just because you feel like you already see the whole tunnel with the light at the very end of it. You feel like, okay, it's like language learning can be such an overwhelming thing, but if you are in a class and then or you go through a book and then the levels slowly build up, which is probably still what people do. Even if they watch our videos, they still go through, you know, A1, A2, B1 content to slowly build up their language levels. But it's still nice to test yourself and to see what is actually, how do people actually speak, and how far is my level or what I hear in my resources away from real life. I mean, this is something that always frustrated me a bit, that when I was in high school, I learned like 4 different languages at school. But like, despite learning French for 2 years, I felt like my French was here. And when I heard French anywhere, like in TV, in a movie, on the streets in France, this was like another world. And I think it's maybe a part of our mission to bridge this gap and help people to see the real world.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's and you also have super easy languages, right? Which was an interesting development that makes it even more accessible. Although myself, I never really used these super easy language videos, because I did find that even quite early, I could just use the regular easy languages content and it was already accessible. But I have found like the fact that it's a whole video with the same question asked to lots of different people, it's so clever because it makes it a lot easier to follow, because each interaction is very short, right? And so you get the opportunity to sort of reset every time you switch to a new person. And you get this variety of point of views, accents, voices, everything. And then having the subtitles in both English and the target language, it's just a really nice package. So I think it's great. And that brings me to my second question. One thing I love about your organization is that, at least from my perspective, it seems like you guys really interact with the community a lot. So I'm curious, with over the years and talking to lots of these people that love your content, have there been any big language learning tips and learnings that you've been able to glean from just seeing what seems to work for all these people? And is there anything you've learned over the years that has actually changed your format, where you found, oh, maybe we should actually do this because it works better?
Yeah, it's maybe it didn't change the format a lot, but it changed the content. And I feel like through interacting with people who use the content that we do, it changed everything. Like, the community is really everything for us, in that sense that when we first started traveling and inviting people, it was just a confirmation that this, you know, because we aren't teachers, we also aren't like polyglots or anything of that ourselves. We basically came up with this project in a high school when Janusz did a project with students, and it was more or less a random development in the beginning. And then we just saw, like, we did all types of videos, and these street interviews were one of them, and we saw that they were popular, and it really, interacting with the community actually helped us to understand why they are so popular. And it then also helped us to understand the struggles that people go through when learning a language, and you know, the different types and the variety of struggles, hopes, expectations, stereotypes that people have is something that I only learned from traveling. And it was really eye-opening, because learning a language in Germany for fun, because we just go to school and learn a language, or we learn a language in our free time because we are in Europe and we have so many borders with other countries. It's a whole different thing than if someone learns German, for example, in Vietnam, with the expectation to come to Germany and find a job to maybe support his family, or someone who is maybe learning in Mexico with this plan to go to Europe and study there and have this hope of like graduating from a European university or getting a scholarship in Germany. And like, all these different people have so many different motivations and also so many different perspectives and expectations of Germany. This is something that I really found interesting to learn about when we traveled and invited people.
Interesting, yeah. So I'm curious, like, to frame the question another way, and this might be like a tricky to answer. So if you were to open a language school, right? Like, let's say you were going to do that, and after all these years doing easy languages, what would you do? Is there anything you would do differently, like, after all these things you've learned, and after seeing how many different types of motivations, different struggles, and different needs? Is there anything you've learned where you'd like, I think I would do it this way to try to cater to the most people?
Yeah, we did a summer school like 3 years in a row where we invited people. People could book a place in the summer school, and then we did it once or twice in the summer.
Oh.
And actually, if we didn't have had so many other plans, I mean, this could have turned into a school theoretically. It's something that we have stopped now for a while, just because we started with other projects like the podcast, for example, and we thought like, okay, maybe we shouldn't overdo ourselves, and we said, okay, let's focus on digital projects because this is what we know about. But at this summer school, we really did things differently in that regard, that we tried to bring this experience of like watching our videos into this school. So the name school is actually a little misleading, but it's maybe, what people can refer to that is close to what we did. And what we did is basically activity-based learning. So we went out and did a tour along the Berlin Wall, and then we read stories of people who escaped or tried to escape over the wall or under the wall sometimes. And then we gave like small tasks where people, for example, read a story for themselves, then had to summarize it in the group. And then we actually walked along the wall and saw these places where these stories happened. So we did a lot of things like these, like scavenger hunts. We also basically shot videos with these people. So we tried to bring them into as much interactive learning experiences as possible. And if I was to learn a language now, or if I was really to do something like this, like visit a school, I would never want to sit in a class 6 hours a day. I would want to do something like that, where I'm not just sitting in class and then maybe do a trip in the afternoon, but do activity-based learning that is just more, that would be my preferred learning style.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because one of my favorite episodes of Easy German back when I was previously using it was the one about the Berlin Wall that you filmed, I believe, on the anniversary. And it was so cool because you were going around, and I think I almost forgot how recent that was relative to other things in history, and how so many people lived through that. And I don't know why, it was just so interesting that you were going around the streets. It was the anniversary of the wall coming down, and you were asking all these different people, what were you doing? Like, what was your experience of the wall coming down? And I think that tying language learning to activities that are rooted in like real historical events that are still so visible in our daily lives, that heightens the learning experience for me, because it takes it out of the realm of just made up fiction and activities that, are kind of abstract, and it really connects it to people's lives. And the fact that you can learn a language through that is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, basically the topics that we do, generally we just need a lot of topics. So we have huge lists of things that could be potentially interesting, and we also try to cater a lot of different interests that people might have. But there are definitely, there are a lot of topics that we do that I would also find interesting for myself. And I know that when I learn a language, I would want to find something like content that really excites me and people that excite me. I need to be entertained, you know. I don't just want to consume all types of content. You need to be very disciplined to do that. And as I understand, you are very disciplined, but I think like I'm much more lazy when it comes to learning, and I really want to have like topics that I really like and people that I really like, and that's why we also try to produce like a variety of different topics with a variety of different people, so that people who are interested in politics or history will find that, people who are interested in everyday life or culture will find that, or people who are interested in, I don't know, more random everyday life topics or fun topics.
Very cool. Awesome. So moving on to our next question then. One thing I've really enjoyed getting to know you recently is that I think you and I are both very sort of product focused people, and we love focusing on these initiatives that both foster and also leverage community, which I think is particularly necessary when we're creating language learning products and services and tools, because it's just so vast. There's so much diversity. If I were making a language learning app, I can't singularly create an app for German, Portuguese, Vietnamese, Cantonese. We need to leverage the community, I think, to make quality tools. And so it feels to me from talking to you that you share a similar philosophy. And so I'd love to know more about the Easy Languages organization's philosophy that has led to you creating so much content in so many languages, because that's one of the things that I think sets Easy Languages apart, is that you have so many languages represented, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's a whole long story or history. It basically, maybe it comes back to our background. Janusz and me, we used to work for an NGO, or we are still part of this NGO, and this NGO focused on intercultural learning, which is really my passion thing. Like for me, like going abroad to different countries and continents really changed everything in my life, and everything that I do today is because of these experiences that I had at some point. And this is really like my mission in life, is to help others have similar experiences. And these experiences can be anything from like going abroad, living in a different country, maybe doing an exchange program as a student. And learning a language is obviously the best step to get closer to someone else. Even if you don't go abroad, like through learning a language, you will understand so much more. You will have such a better understanding for different people's perspectives. And I think this is what we really need in order to make peace in the world, in order to, improve the world with all its problems that we have. Is we need a global community of people who are in love with the whole world and not, like try to overcome the differences that we have. So this is maybe my personal passion. I know that it's also Janusz's passion, and I think everyone who works at Easy Languages subscribes to this mission. And building a community was just like a natural thing to us, because it is what we are passionate about. And at some point it was never a question that we want to build this community. It was rather a question of how, because we didn't really consider ourselves as a production company that would simply hire people to produce something. We are not a publishing house or anything like that, even though we like this idea. But it really, at some point, we had this idea of building this network of people. And basically giving people, other people, the same chance that we have had with Easy German, is building our own business. So we set this whole thing up as a franchise model. That means you can come and produce with us, but at the same time you'll be your own production team, you'll be your own boss, and you build your own business. And we just basically build the network that gives guidance, that gives feedback, that creates this community where you have a home. And maybe if you are someone who is passionate about producing videos or helping other people to learn a language, we could make it easier for you to start your own project.
Excellent. So in our last couple minutes here, how can people find out more information about this in terms of people who are interested in potentially becoming partners with you and participating in other Easy Language channels?
Yeah, basically you can go to our website, which maybe you can link under this video. That would be super
I'll
fun.
definitely link it.
Thank you. That's really nice. And there we'll provide a bit more questions and more answers to the questions that people might have who are interested. We are looking for contributors in basically all languages that don't have a regular production yet, which are quite a few languages. And even for any type of smaller language, or even like all kinds of dialects would be welcomed. Like languages like Arabic, for example, we don't have any team right now. And there are so many different dialects of Arabic in the different countries. We would be really happy to at some point have an Easy Arabic channel with maybe teams from, various countries.
Yeah.
But there are also like a lot of other languages that are currently not regularly produced.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I really, I would love it if anybody from my audience that's interested would reach out. Seriously, I think again, you couldn't have a better team of mentors doing it, and it's a really valuable thing for the language learning community. So, thank you so much, Cari. It's been lovely chatting, and I really hope this was a nice chance for some of your other viewers to listen to you speaking English for once. I know all your content's in German, so it's pretty cool to have you on here speaking excellent English.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Revan. It was really nice to be here with you, and yeah, I'm really happy that we have met each other, because it's kind of I want to thank this viewer of ours who connected us in a way, but unfortunately I forgot her name, so that's really bad of me.
Okay.
So. But you know who you are, because I sent you a message back, and thank you for sending me a message. Robin, one more thing that I needed to tell you. You know that I first heard of your channel through a Notion tutorial that you did a while ago. Do you remember?
Right.
And today, actually yesterday, I started using Notion for Easy Languages. So we have all our production workflow, everything in Notion now. I mean, not yet, because I'm still building it, but I was so fascinated by it that I spent basically working day and night the last 2 days on it. And I just had to think of you, because it's such a funny coincidence that we met, like that I first heard of you through the Notion tutorial, and 3 days later you also happened to make a video about using the Easy German podcast for language learning.
Yeah, I actually got a lot of messages after our video last week doing the German interview, and people were telling me it's so beautiful that you got to know Easy German through pretending you were being interviewed by them in your podcast interview method. And then you actually ended up being in an interview. And it was just like, it's very poetic,
It's really wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Cari, and I really
Nice.
hope everybody enjoyed this video. Again, I'll leave links to everything in the description, and please feel free to reach out to Cari and her team.
Thank you so much, Robin. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.